Hello there, fellow hermits and non-hermits. It's Dan the Catman here from the Shelter Cats podcast. You know, it occurred to me, right now the Shelter Cats podcast is off for the summer. The season finale was a couple of weeks ago, in I think the last Sunday in May, and I took, my co-host and I, took June, July, and August off. So it occurred to me, I haven't posted an update on my spin-off podcast, The Hermit Life, in a very long time, since early May, when we had a very nice conversation with my friend Sherry. So I thought I'd give you an update and kind of, you know, just share where I am at the moment, you know, where the Hermit Life is treating me right now. So right now, I'm going to record and push this out on the same day, which is something I've never done before in my year and a quarter of podcasting. Right now it's Sunday, June 16th. I just had my dinner. My cats have had their dinner. And I was about to go take a shower. And I thought, you know what? I haven't podcasted on my Hermit Life in a while, so I'm going to kind of just speak off the cuff and just tell you where I am at the moment, and just speak about how this time of year is even more conducive to hermiting. And you may think, but it's going to be summer. It's June 16th, so the weather is warm. In fact, we're going to have a heat wave this week. It's supposed to be, I think, 97 by Thursday. So by the time you listen to this we could be in a heat wave, and I might be a puddle on the ground in my apartment. So we're expecting a pretty big heat wave this week. And hopefully that means, since it's early in the season, hopefully that means that maybe the rest of the summer won't be so bad. You know, sometimes you get like this mad heat wave early and then the rest of the summer isn't so bad. I'm kind of hoping that is the case. But I'm going to explain very briefly why I think, for me, warm weather makes me want to hermit even more. So basically, you know, we haven't spoken. We haven't had an episode since early May. I am planning an episode with one of my favorite tech YouTube channels. His name is Dale Levon, and his channel is called Dale Levon Digital. And in an earlier episode, I told you how I make myself, I set myself up to be a hermit with a lot of content. And some of that content includes my favorite tech and travel and car repair and history YouTube channels. And one of them is Dale Levon of Dale Levon Digital. He's a photographer and he reviews technology, mostly Android devices, Google Pixel devices, and Samsung phones and tablets. And he and I have been friends. And we communicate on text, we communicate on Twitter, X, and I invited him to be on the show because it'd be cool to talk to somebody about how they create the content that I guess I want to say rely on to keep my mind engaged and keep myself interested in stuff, because as I see it, and as I've explained earlier, to be a successful hermit, meaning to live a full, engaged, rewarding life without leaving the home much, I like to surround myself with topics and subjects that interest me. One of them is technology. So Dale Levon, that's his first name, will be probably in the next episode or the episode after that. So at some point in the summer, he'll be joining us to kind of talk about how he got into being a tech YouTube channel. And he's really great, and he's down to earth, and he's very honest and keeps it real. So I'm very excited about that. And like I said, the Shelter Cats podcast is off until September, the earliest, and booked a couple of guests already, so we'll start recording that in August. So in the meantime, since we last had an episode in May, I actually left the house twice. And I left the house twice in 1 week. All of you just fell off your chairs and you went, no, it's true. So, excuse me, right before Memorial Day weekend, and I took a long Memorial Day weekend. I had to go into the office the Tuesday before Memorial Day weekend. I am a data analyst for a healthcare company, and I had to upgrade my laptop from previous one to a new one with the new Windows, which is, I'm not crazy about Windows 11, but we had to go in and swap one for the other and get a tutorial and make sure everything works. So I went in, my coworker and friend always picks me up because I also don't have a car. I choose not to have a car. So he picked me up, and I spent the day, and it's actually even a new office. They moved buildings in December, and that was the first time I'd ever seen the new office. So it's a big healthcare company, so it was very fancy, very up-to-date and modern corporate office. I spent the day there. I caught up with colleagues that I only speak to via Teams and email and text. So it was nice to see people. So I was out and social. And I left the house and came home. And then that Friday, we had off for the Memorial Day weekend. And I went out again. So I left the house twice in 1 week. I know. I walked with my neighbor, and I took a walk to, there's one of those mini Targets. I'd say half a mile away. Very short, pleasant walk. So it was a nice day. It was warm, not too warm. So we took a little walk to the Target. So I wanted to just pick up a few things. I had a coupon and a gift card that I needed to spend. So we went there. And it was a very pleasant walk. And I haven't left the house since. So twice in 1 week. And now, here I am back to hermiting. And also kind of a negative thing. I had a pretty big falling out actually yesterday with one of my dear friends who was a guest on an earlier episode of the Shelter Cats podcast. We had a pretty unfortunate disagreement. So my friend and I have parted company. Doesn't mean we won't reunite someday like the old Peaches and Herb song, but it was misunderstanding. She said some things that I found to be a little harsh and unforgivable. So just because I'm a hermit and just because I choose to stay home and kind of, live a fulfilled life mostly at home doesn't mean I'm not going to stand up for myself. It doesn't mean I'm not afraid to let somebody go when I feel that they've said something inappropriate. And today happens to be Father's Day. So if you're a father, I'm a cat father, so everybody's wishing me a happy Father's Day as a cat dad. Happy Father's Day. And I don't know if I've discussed this on this show, but I have not had a very good relationship with my own father. Give you the TLDR version. We got along, but we were never like close. And he was always very critical and always very, I could sum it up in this phrase that I say all the time. It was always very, if I did something I thought was great, if I got a good grade or if I accomplished something that I wanted to gush about, what do you do when you're a kid? The first thing you do is, hey, Mom and Dad, look what I did. I got this grade, or I scored this goal, or whatever. You go to your parents. I'm an only child, so I didn't have siblings to do this with. I went to my parents. And, my mother was proud of me, and my father was always, that's great. But if he had done it the way I suggested, it would have been even better. So there was always that kind of like, can't you just give me a thumbs up and say, hey, that's great, son. That's awesome. I'm very happy for you. It was always cool, but if you had done it just this way, which I told you, it would have been amazing. So it was always that feeling of, it just gives you an uneasy feeling, like you don't feel like you're getting along, or you don't feel like you're doing quite enough. And as I grew up, I'd moved out of the house, that continued. And then we had a very big falling out around 2013, mostly over money. And, they were going through bankruptcy, and we just had a lot of disagreements over money, and I made the decision to kind of remove them from my life. And I'm always of the opinion that just because you're related to somebody doesn't mean you need to have them in your life. And, some people will say, oh, but they're your parents. Oh, but they're your parents. They're human beings. And if you feel that they're not aligned with your values, or they don't treat you right, or they don't respect you as a person, I personally don't see anything wrong with politely telling them to go fuck themselves. Which, I never did that, but I just stopped talking to them. And, that continued. And in late October, right before Halloween, I was told by a family member, my cousin, the one family member I sort of kind of kept in touch with, that he fell ill and passed away. So this is my first Father's Day without him alive, or without him in my life. So, I've gotten a lot of happy Father's Day, Cat Dad, happy Father's Day, Cat Dad, especially on social media and the social media for the Shelter Cats podcast. But I still have spent the day reflecting on that fact. This is my first, other people have wonderful relationships with their fathers. I've had a few friends that have lost their fathers recently and not so recently, and they could legitimately say, Father's Day sucks, I miss my father, he was great. I could say, I don't care about Father's Day because my dad was an asshole. Especially as I grew up and got older. There was never that, we want to see you. It was, we want to see how you're doing, or is there anything you want to talk about? It was more like, don't ask us for money because we don't have any, and you need to come see us because we're your parents and you have to come see us. And it wasn't like we did anything. I'd go see them and they're still sitting there watching TV. So, it was more like checking off a box and fulfilling an obligation than anything else. So I never felt very close to him. So I don't feel a sense of loss, or I don't feel a sense of a void in my life because it's Father's Day and he's no longer alive. It's more like, I wish I had a father that I could miss. I wish I had that kind of relationship. I wish he was less interested in whatever weather program he was watching or whatever news show he had on, and maybe a little more interested in, like, so what's going on with you? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? I'm here for you. I'd never judge you or anything like that. I always felt judged or that I just was never good enough. So, it's just, I felt like that was worthy of bringing up on this show. You could fast forward through it if you don't want morbid. But if you're a father, be good to your kids, listen to them, talk to them, not down to them. And if you have a father that is worthy of being called a father, honor them every day. And if your father's been an asshole, you don't have to call them. It's just my opinion. So happy Father's Day to the good fathers out there. And if you are the father of a cat or a dog or anything like that, happy Father's Day, because you're a father too. I could definitely consider myself a cat dad because I have 7 of them here. So that's basically it. And like I said, this hermit hates summer. There's the big thing. When I was a kid, I loved summer for basically every summer of the 80s, from like 82 or 83 to 1990. I spent 8 weeks at summer camp, Camp Kindering, in somewhere upstate New York, Sylvan Lake, maybe. And I grew up Jewish, so it was a kind of a Jewish-themed camp. I don't know if that meant you had to be Jewish to go, but I was. And I went basically for 8 weeks of summer. And at first I didn't have a choice. My parents basically said, you're going. This will be good for you. And the first summer I was super homesick and hated it. And then by the second by sort of the end of the first summer, I liked it enough to want to go back. And then I went back for years until basically I aged out, and I kind of outgrew it because, I made lifelong friends there, but I also had friends at home, and, I was going to college pretty soon, and, I spent 8 weeks there, and it was fun, and then I'd had enough of it. So, when I was a kid, I loved warm weather, I loved being out, and just enjoying the weather. I always liked sleeping in a very cold room, so I always, blasted my air conditioning and the noise and how it kind of like, I hate sleeping when it's warm. If I'm warm when I'm sleeping, it drives me crazy to this day. So I always need like a cold bedroom. And even when I was a kid, apparently when I was an infant, I was like this, and my grandfather bought me an air conditioner, and it immediately shut me up. So apparently I've been this way since birth. Some people could sleep in warmth like that, not me. I need cold. You need to be able to hang meat in my bedroom when I sleep. Definitely a point of contention with my ex, my most recent ex. She hated cold, I hated warm. So her half was bundled, my half was light blankets. But as I've gotten older, I just dislike summer. I hate humidity, I hate warmth, I hate being warm. I have the privilege of mostly working from home. But when I started this job, I was commuting 5 days a week, and just like, just walking from the parking lot into the building, or walking from the bus stop into the building, you walk in, I'm genetically predispositioned to sweating from my head profusely if it gets warm. Not anywhere else in my body, maybe, my back, I guess, but my head starts pouring out like somebody's pouring a cup of water continuously in my hair. And you walk in looking like you have a fever or something. It's just not ideal, not something I like. So I don't like summer. So for me, summer is even more of an excuse to hermit. I have 2 air conditioners, and I even bought a couple of fans. I have fans on either side of my bed. I have little table fans rotating in the living room. I have 2 fans in the office, so all the air is circulated. And when I sleep, there's an air conditioner on and 2 fans blowing the air right in my face and all over me. And I have a cooling blanket that I bought last year that actually works really well. It's very thin, and I don't know what the material is, but it keeps things cool. So for me, summer is even more of an excuse to hermit. Not that I need an excuse. It's not an excuse. This is just a lifestyle that I choose. And that's the whole point of this show, is you don't have to go out to have a fulfilled life. You can have that fulfilled life in the comfort of your own home. And you could surround yourself with things and objects and content and people and animals that make you happy. So for me, at age 50, on Father's Day in June 2024, I hate summer. I can't wait for fall. Fall through winter is my favorite time of year. I love the holidays. I love Halloween, Christmas, Thanksgiving. I'm not a big fan of turkey, but I love that time of year. The weather is cold, and you could bundle up, and it's just my favorite time of year. I love decorating for Christmas. I love Halloween. I love the horror movies, everything about Halloween, all the decorations and everything. It just makes me so happy. I love it. My favorite time of year. This, as I've gotten older, is my least favorite time of year. I don't like to schwitz. That's Yiddish for sweat. I don't like to be uncomfortable. I have a little asthma. It definitely aggravates my asthma. So, not my favorite time of year. If you have a pool, if you invite me to the pool, I will leave my house and go to your pool. And you can leave me there all day. Just throw a few ice cubes on me. So there's my meandering update and why this hermit does not like summer. And it gives me even more of a reason to be comfortable in my home with my air conditioners and fans and just be happy. So with all that, I say have a great summer. If you like summer, I respect that. Have a great summer. Be good to one another. Be good to your pets. Please consider donating or fostering to your local shelter or animal rescue. They need the help more than ever. Please adopt, don't shop. Please consider fostering a cat or a dog, because as much as they need financial donations, they need fosters, especially with kitten season, and they need all the help they can get. So have a great summer, and hopefully we'll have my friend Dale Vaughn on the next episode. If not, either way, I'll be back soon with another update. This is Dan the Catman from the Shelter Cats podcast, wishing you a happy hermit life.